The Suns' point guard search may have come to an end. Monte Morris, formerly of the Nuggets, formerly of the Wizards, formerly of the Wolves. Sundo, it wasn't my first pick. I really wanted Chris Dunn from Utah, but in the end, he really was just too good for the Suns to afford. I should have seen that coming. Having looked further into Monte Morris, I'm very excited to report that I think he is exactly the type of point guard that the Suns need.
Yeah, I don't know about exactly the point guard that they needed. I think they had other plans and they had other point guards they probably coveted over him. But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, the market started to form. And so Dunn wasn't going to be a thing. And so we got a solid point guard in Monte Morris, man. And you just look at the stats, you look at the play. He's a really solid, good, steady point guard. And the one thing that I really focused on and when I saw and was going through the stats was his turnovers. Last year, he played for 3 different teams. He played for the Raptors, the Pistons for 6 games, and then I'm assuming, not following him, there was a buyout or something, and he went to Minnesota towards the end of the year. And in all 3 of those teams, 0.2 turnovers, 0.3 turnover, 0.2 turnovers. And then the 2 seasons before, he played for the Wizards. And then his last season with the Nuggets, he only averaged 1 turnover a game. And then before that, again, it was 0.3 turnover, 0.6 turnovers, 0.7 turnovers, 0.7 turnovers. So if you kind of get what I'm saying is he's an efficient point guard, won't turn the ball over, will get you some buckets, get you some assists in 20 minutes, which is exactly what the Suns were looking for, to your point. So yes, I do think that this is a solid get. I'm with you. Very excited about this get for sure, just because I'm looking at that turnover ratio and it's just like, yes, the amount of turnovers that we need cut off per game compared to last year, this is going to go a long way towards helping that. I mean, we're going to go from averaging 17 to hopefully 10 at this point.
I feel like Monte fits along the lines of all of the point guards we've been looking and talking about that the Suns have been linked to. They all have Chris Paul qualities or Chris Paulities. None of them are as good as him. He had everything, but these guys share some traits. Unselfishness, not only a willingness to pass, but an eagerness to pass, and being a talented passer. He's got all of those while being a knockdown three-point shooter. This is a 3-and-D point guard, does not need the ball in his hand, but can absolutely run the show when needed. The Suns were never getting starting quality point guard this offseason. That was not in the cards. What was in the cards is a guy like this that you can trust with the ball in his hand, like you said, doesn't turn it over often, but 38.6% on the entirety of the season last season for threes. He's always shooting around that level since he came out of college at Iowa State. I hope people can appreciate that the Suns are grabbing components that the machine needs to work properly. They're not flashy. This is not that exciting like it was last season where it was Eric Gordon, Yuta Watanabe. The only thing that matters at the end of the day is winning, and you get there by having a functional team, which they did not have last season.
Yeah, man. Last year, they seemed to go the route of going for younger guys that had potential, and a Yuta and a KBD and a Metu. Those are just 3 examples of players that they signed last year during free agency. And ironically, all 3 of those guys were not on the team at the end of the season. They were all gone for a Royce O'Neal. And so to your point, this season seems to be all about getting heady veteran players that are going to contribute and help and know what to do, along with getting young defenders. And I do think that this will be a formula for decent success. I'm not going to go ahead and say, oh my gosh, we're going to the NBA Finals. We're in the West, and the West is doing nothing but getting better. Every player is going to the Clippers or OKC or something crazy like that. But at least these moves are smart moves that give us a fighting chance throughout the season. And I really do think that's going to matter a lot. Last year, we struggled throughout the season. We couldn't get the big three to play 40 plus games last year, and it really did bite us. And having those young guys with no experience and leaning on them to maybe develop, or praying that they just show you flashes, you're not going to do that this season. You're going to have solid guys that are going to get the job done. 9-to-5 type players that are going to come in, do the right things, get out within 20 minutes or less. And so I do like the way that we're operating this offseason. I do think that this is James Jones' best offseason in his entire career with the Suns. And I think it had to be his best offseason with the Suns, because I think he was on the hot seat for sure after trading all your picks away, getting veteran players that you then would let go at the end of the season, or I hate to say it, last free agency, as excited as we were, was in hindsight atrocious. So I believe that this offseason has been his best, and I believe that this offseason has actually been really, really underrated in who they picked up and who they've drafted.
Now, you pointed out one thing that I want to touch on, which is Monte Morris has a trait that the other guys don't have. I said I noticed that these point guards have all been similar, but one thing he's got that they don't got is defense. He's not an absolute pushover on defense. He's not going to get cooked to the extent that Tyler Kolek was, and more than likely Colin Gillespie will. You know what I'm saying? TJ McConnell gonna get worked. Monte Morris is no slouch on defense. And so it's really hard to argue with this move by Phoenix. Tell us what you guys think in the comments below. We'll see you soon for our next live stream. Go Suns.